Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the UFC fight card just took place. UFC Fight Night, Paris. It was Borralho versus Imavov. Here's the chart. I'm going to talk about the chart, then I'm going to talk about all the fights. Remember, we do this so we can go back and look at what we said about the fighters and then how they performed in the cage. But just so you're aware, this is a really good chart. I know it doesn't look good to you. You see a bunch of red. It's 7-6 on the overall money line spread. None of that really matters. What matters is we went 3-0 on the locks. Sam Hughes, Kyle Fernandez, and William Gomez, and dare I say, none of them were a sweat. So 3 locks in a row, perfect. That's why we hit the lock parlay here. That's just clutch out of its mind. There were 2 fights that I said were Rico Knows fights. One of them was Reese McKee versus Alex Sola. I read it wrong. I missed. That's life. There's another fight over here. I put Rico Knows next to it, and that was Fernandez. I just think it was incredible value at minus 184 because I knew Fernandez should have been a minus 1,000 favorite. I knew he was going to kick the shit out of him. I probably should have screamed it more, but I put my name next to it. You do what you want with that, okay? The other one I put my name next to was Nasruddin Imavov in the main event. I told you Vegas has these odds wrong. Like, this is just wrong. Imavov is a much better fighter than Kyle Borralho. They got it wrong. I don't need to make it a lock. I never make underdogs a lock, but I put my name next to it. This deserves a full unit play. Shout out to the MVPs who tailed it and doubled their money. It was a good time to be me. Shout out to Kansas. They just scored and took the lead on Missouri. That happens sometimes. All right, so let's go talk about these fighters, though, so we know what we're saying. But we did really well. I haven't updated the percentages yet, so I apologize. These percentages went up. This one broke even, so it's going to go down, down. Parlays went up. Prop locks went up. Prop leans will go down, I think. No, we didn't have, down. We missed the knockout here. So that's going to go down, and then we didn't have any value bet props or parlays. So that doesn't change. Props overall, I didn't change these numbers from last week, so let's look at it. We're 1-1. We're 2-1. Only 2-1 on the props overall. So we're going to go to 131. Sorry for making sausage in front of you. And then we're going to go to 3. All right, now let's talk about these fighters. So in the first fight of the night, I told you MVPs, this was the lock of all locks for me. I do not see how Sam Hughes loses to Shauna Bannon. And I understand that some of you guys don't want to bet on female fights, especially in the early prelims. It's women's MMA. Some of you don't think they deserve your coin. That's fine. I respect it. But I'm telling you, Shauna Bannon cannot fight with Sam Hughes. And it showed. We got in the cage. Shauna Bannon is this weird fighter who doesn't really have any skill set to me to be able to win fights. I just don't see it. So she got ragdolled in here. She got beat up. Good head movement from Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes is a limited athlete. She's not overly athletic, but she's good enough to go in there, put a little pressure, and break you, and then just be on top and do it. I'd imagine Sam Hughes is going to get a better fighter. We might have to fade her if she gets a better fighter. But in this particular case, it was a slam dunk lock. I was not worried about it. Shout out to Sam Hughes. Next fight, Andres Gustafsson, on record for saying he is the worst fighter in the UFC. He has no fighting ability. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just the guy who goes out there to scrap. And guess what? That wins a lot of fights. Unfortunately for him, it didn't win this one. So this was a pick'em fight, right? It was a coin flip. And I went ahead and took Andres Gustafsson because I like his aggression. But what happened was he went in there with literally no game plan. He looked like a guy in a bar who just kind of rushes at you and starts swinging. It's called the UFP, the Universal Fight Plan. You don't know what to do, so you just start swinging. He looked terrible. And we got to remember that the next time we see him out there. Sure, he did that to Chaos Williams. Don't give this guy any respect. Renat went out there and fought out of his mind. One thing we also have to remember with Renat, and this is on me, Renat is 24-1-1. When somebody is 24-1-1, that means they do enough in every single fight to make sure they don't lose. He's not accustomed to losing fights. So we got to stop thinking he will lose a fight. That's never going to happen. He just doesn't. He's not accustomed to it. He wears one of them funny little hats, and he does what he does. This fight was over instantly. Less than a minute. Shout out to him. This is a horrible miss. Once again, it's just a stab in the dark, and I believed in it, and it didn't happen. So shout out to Renat. We won't fade you again, bro. We'll see who you fight next. Brad Tavares versus Robert Bretsky. I believed in Brad Tavares. I thought he had a good fight plan. I thought he was going to go out there and do it, and then he reminded himself that he's 37 years old, and he can't be banging like this. He could not bang with Robert Bretsky. Bretsky had real heat in his hands. He's won a lot of fights by knockout, and this is no different. I don't think you can really stand and trade with this guy. So here's what we're going to do. Stylistically, if we see Robert Bretsky fighting anyone that's equivalent in a stand-up game or going to come do some type of stand-up match, we're going to take Robert Bretsky. We might even get favorable odds. You see here it's plus 160. I'd imagine he gets a better fighter the next time around. And if it's going to be a stand-up guy and we're going to bang, we'll take an underdog with a knockout chance. we'll do that. I have no problem doing that. So Robert Bretsky, shout out to him, got the knockout. He still hasn't impressed with any grappling or anything like that, but his striking is on point. Heavy hands. Heavy hand. You don't throw pillows for fists. They're very mean. And Brad Tavares, well, he probably should have left the gloves in the cage. I'm just saying. Speaking of leaving gloves in the cage, there's about 3 guys in a row here that should have left gloves in the cage. Trey Waters against Sam Patterson. Trey Waters does not defend his face. I thought we had a shot on an underdog here. Hadn't fought in a year. He's 6'5". He goes out there. He's supposed to be in the clinch up against the cage and do some really good stuff. He did nothing of the sort. He just has his hands low, looks slow and lethargic. That guy's not real. And Sam Patterson beat the shit out of him. That's how that works. So Sam Patterson, I still am not thoroughly impressed with Sam. But 14-2, you better start putting some respect on his name because he's beating the guys they're giving him. They need to give him stiffer competition. This dude was a stiff. Shout out to Trey Waters. Bum-ass dude we ever see him. This is hilarious. Look at the picture here. Dude's legs are all red. This is hilarious. Whoever did this in the graphics is great, bro. Yeah, Kyle Fernandez, lock of all locks. Rico knows, name right next to it, letting you know. There's just no way Harry Hardwick can win this fight. I thought Harry Hardwick does not fight well. I don't like the way he lunges. He's slow. He doesn't throw anything that scares me. He was fighting up a weight class. I didn't mention that in the video, but it's one of these situations where I get so overwhelmed sometimes with the information when I do all the fights in one video, in one take. Remember, all my UFC fight videos are in one take. I don't edit anything. I don't go back and add some more information. So in my notes, it was there. I didn't mention it. Doesn't really matter. We were already on Fernandez as a lock of all locks. It was not going to, there's no worry here. The only thing I don't like about Caio Fernandez is he shows off way too much. He did mention that he has jiu-jitsu, him being Brazilian. I don't doubt that. We've never seen his jiu-jitsu. He is a bad man. His kicks are vicious. He is styled on his last 2 opponents to a point where it makes his opponents look like they don't belong in an octagon at all. Harry Hardwick looked ridiculous. He was knocked out. Couldn't stand anymore. They carried him out of the cage in a wheelchair. You're in a wheelchair in 3 minutes. You walked in just fine. 3 minutes later, you're in a wheelchair. That's a terrible experience for Harry Hardwick. I don't expect to see him fight for another year. Definitely not in the UFC, so we don't need to worry about his dumbass. Marcin Tybura versus Anti Delea. I told you guys I like this Delea guy. I like the fact that he's an all-around fighter. He's also 245 pounds, very experienced, hits with real aggression. He's not a slow, lumbering heavyweight. He's got size to him where he can fend off the other bigger heavyweights, and I think he's stronger than them, and then he just punches harder than everybody. So it's a recipe for success, and you saw it here. He wins by knockout in the first round. I thought it was a great call by me, just saying I'm going to take the newcomer, take the debut and rock with it. Shout out to him. Marcin Tybura, if he can't get a takedown, he can't win the fight. The effort he put in this fight was absolutely disgusting. All he did was get 2 overhooks, which are not a thing. You should be fighting for underhooks. And he just kind of held his arms together for a little bit. And then after that, he was mincemeat, bro. And if you don't know what mincemeat is, he was just shit on a log. I don't know what to say, guys. It was terrible. Shout out to him. Omar Sy wins. First round, knockout. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, not impressed. Omar Sy is in positions of dominance and doesn't inflict damage and doesn't do the right things that a normal fighter would do. I'm talking about being in the mount or in side control, for example. He'll be messing around for a Kimura from side control instead of dropping elbows on somebody's unobstructed face. He doesn't understand. I think he's been in gyms where you weren't allowed to strike people for long periods of time. He looks like a judo, jiu-jitsu practitioner for years upon years, and there's no striking in those gyms. So now he's in an MMA fight, and it's not natural for him when to strike. It's just he doesn't know when to strike. So yes, he won the fight, and he eventually won. And Ribeiro's the worst fighter on the entire roster. I think he should be cut. Remember, he knocked out Bruno Lopez in his debut or in his Dana White Contender Series, and that's what got him all these fights. But he's done nothing in the UFC in these fights that warrants anybody being afraid of him. His name is the Gorilla, but he goes out there, slips on a banana peel, and quits. Dude landed 11 strikes in this entire fight, and not a single one of them is worrisome in any way, shape, or form. So I don't believe in Ribeiro at all. I'll fade him every single time. And unfortunately for us, I'll fade Omar Sy as well. I don't believe in Omar Sy. This is the third time we've seen him. And even in a win like this, I just look at it and I just go, ugh. Like, that's not good. No, he reminds me of those red bats. You know those red plastic bats that you hit wiffle balls with? The big fat barrel? Like you could swing that thing as hard as you want. It doesn't hurt anybody, right? That's exactly what Umar Sy reminds me of. He's big, he looks the part, but he don't hurt anybody. He don't have that killer instinct in him. So we'll see who they keep giving him. I guess they're trying to set him up for some easy wins, make him style out and look good in France. But I think this guy sucks as a fighter. I'm just keeping it real. Next fight, last lock of the night for us. We win at 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. Some of my notes, I told you Robert Rajala, I watched him, and he looks like a UFC fighter. The way he moves, his movement is very advanced and very equivalent to UFC fighters. But I don't think he's real dog. I don't think he hits hard. I'm watching him get TKOs after 200 strikes are landing in the third round. That just means none of your strikes hurt. If you can land 200 punches on somebody and they're not knocked out and you're styling, just none of it hurts. So I don't believe in Rajala like that. And I was 100% right. Gomi has that dog in him. He's very athletic. He's explosive. And Gomi's going to go out there and get it done. And then Rajala turned into a wrestler. Tried to wrestle this match. That's silly. I don't know if we see Rajala again. I'm sure they probably want to give him a card, a regional card outside of the country, last minute fill in, that kind of stuff. But as far as worrying about him being on a card in America in the early prelims, I don't think that's realistic at all. William Gomi, by the way, his next fight, he'll get a real fighter again. And he'll be in those situations where we're going to have to probably fade him because he doesn't have finishing, like a willingness to finish. Like he doesn't have the intent to inflict bodily harm on you. Touchdown, Missouri. We take the lead. Let's go. 4 minutes left on 4th and 1. Shout out to Norfleet for his second touchdown. Sorry for the update mid-video. Next fight, the one I got wrong. My read was wrong. I took Reese McKee. Reese McKee's a banger. He can beat up people. He can hit, but he's very hittable. He did not have good head movement. I don't like Alex Sola. Axel Sola. I don't like that dude at all. Name his ass Axel Foley, bro. He put a banana in the tailpipe. He moves weird. He's not very aesthetically pleasing, and that's important to judges, right? When he gets hit, he reacts a lot to it, and I think you can lose a round with him reacting like that. Now, he's a skilled fighter, right? He's a skilled fighter. He's putting it out there. His left hand was doing work, but I'm just not completely sold on him, and I'm curious to see what kind of odds we're going to get moving forward. I'm just not on him like that. He's not that guy for me, but he fought well, and he won the fight. And Reese McKee got beat the hell up. Shout out to him. All right, so now we know Mason Jones is tough as a fucking $2 steak. Mason Jones is the real deal. I guess you can't get a $2 steak anymore. He's tough as some rump roast. You ever had rump roast? That shit is gross. Chuck roast, chuck something. All them steaks. One day we got those steaks for free, Kim and I. And Kim's like, oh, I'll make them for you, but I just want you to know it's not the same cut you're used to. I'm used to T-bone, ribeye, tomahawk. I'm used to the real steaks. Then she got me this. She didn't get it. We just got it for free. And she cooked it and did everything the way she normally does. Seasoned it and everything. And that shit was terrible. I was just sitting there like, I was just chewing. Well, let me tell you, you're going to be taking a long-ass time if you think you're going to run through Mason Jones. You better pack a lunch and some other shit. That motherfucker, right? That dude right there took a pounding, took a beating. It was a 10-8, 2 minutes, right? He got absolutely demolished by Balaji Oki. But we knew right away, as soon as Oki was throwing as hard as he could and didn't put this guy out, Oki already has cardio problems to begin with, and then he can't get it. Can't get it, so now we're in the second round, and Oki's out there in the deep end with no walls to touch, and he can't tread in the water, and he's drowning, and then he quits due to elbows. So shout out to Mason Jones, and that's what it is, and that's what we mean by somebody who is tough. How do we know they're tough? We watch them get their ass kicked, and they survive through it, and that's when we know, oh, he's got a chin. Oh, he can really put up with it. Now we know Mason Jones is tough as fucking nails. He's also 17-2. Shout out to the MVPs that believed in Mason Jones. Even though I took Oki, some of the MVPs faded it and said, no, I'm taking Mason Jones. I'm a fan of his, and I'm taking him, Rico. Hey, do it, man. And now moving forward, what do you think we're doing? Hey, I'm a fan of Mason Jones. We'll take him. We're not above correction. We're not above reassessing with more data. I'm telling you, I once met a girl. I thought she was the woman of my dreams. I'll never forget it. Thought she was the woman of my dreams. I was dating her for months. We became best friends. We used to go to the movies together. For months. I did it backwards, bro. We didn't even smash the first night. Nothing. We were just best friends. It was beautiful. I'm like, man, I love this girl. This girl's awesome. Everything about it. Then we finally hooked up. Worst sex of my adult life, bro. It was trash. And I said, what is wrong with you? Why don't you have any enthusiasm? Why aren't you into this? And she looked at me and said, Oh, I really just don't like this kind of stuff. I wish you would just, you know what? I'll let you, we can have an open relationship. And I just don't like that part of life. And I looked at her and I said, this is the most boring bit. I'm never going to talk to her again. I'm done. I don't even want to be with you. You're terrible. I thought you were perfect. I got more information about you. And I decided, this ain't it, bro. I meet a girl, I think you're perfect. Then I find out you got debt. Then I find out you don't brush your teeth in the morning. Then I find out you don't clean the house and you don't know how to cook. As I get more data, we reassess. You're no longer my dream girl, right? All them dudes looking at them chicks on Instagram, and they're like, oh, wifey material. Are you an idiot? Are you an idiot? You want to marry somebody like, no. So, you might have thought a fighter was terrible. As you get more and more data, you got to reassess. Same thing with football teams. Shout out to Clemson, Liberty, and whoever else is laying an egg this week. Fuck you dudes. All right, so Modestas Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. We don't need to talk about Paul Craig. He retired after the fight. He left his gloves in the cage. Homie pulled guard. What a bum. Modestas Bukauskas. He's okay. He's not exceptional to me. He went in there, got the knockout, got the win. Victory by elbow with no time left on the clock. That's why it says 5 minutes. It was at the buzzer, did an elbow. They were going to let him go to the next round until they realized, oh, Paul Craig is dead on the curb. Like, he's down there, and he's not ever getting up. Dude was just out. He's rethinking his life right now. So he said, thank you for the memories. I don't know how he remembers anything. That dude caught the ugliest elbow. Modestas Bukauskas can knock you out, but I don't necessarily know if he's an elite fighter. Shout out to him. That was an easy call, and we predicted the knockout. No big deal. Everybody was on that. Let me tell you what everybody wasn't on. Benoit Saint Denis versus Mauricio Hufi. So Benoit Saint Denis went out here, fought intelligently, defended himself, fought very traditional, kind of structured, and then he went out there and closed the distance, got a takedown, and bullied Mauricio Hufi. And once he bullied him for body position in the first round, at that point, Hufi was done. Mentally defeated. Over. And that's a fragile human being. I'm letting you know that right now. They say he's the best in the gym. He's super athletic. He's fragile. He's not ready for war. I'm in the military. I'm telling you, when the rounds start flying over your head, you find out who in that foxhole, who in that bunker, who on that platoon is built for this moment, and you find out who really is just going to shake and hide. You find out who the real gangsters are when there's some gangster shit that needs to be done. And Mauricio Hufi is not a real gangster. Now, he's stylish, and they'll probably give him somebody he can beat, and he can go out there and do it. But if you can close the distance and wrestle this man and bully him, you're going to beat the shit out of him. That's real. So shout out to Benoit Saint Denis, because that's exactly what he did. Hufi's going to remind you of those guys who have some highlight knockouts. Highlight real knockouts. MVP type stuff, but not just Michael Venom Page. Maybe even Michael Chandler. You're going to have some phenomenal knockouts everybody talks about. That spinning heel kick, it's just like the Michael Chandler front kick right to the chin of Tony Ferguson. And you're like, all right, well, that was cool. You did a spinning heel kick to a guy named Bobby Green who doesn't have his hands up ever. Touchdown, South Florida. South Florida's ahead of Florida right now. So it's one of these situations where Hufi's very limited because I don't think they're really dogs. The fighting nerds, I think they're too worried about branding themselves. They're not real dogs. You want proof? Here's the main event. Fucking score was 50-45, 49-46, and 49-46. Shout out to the MVPs. Predicted this easy. I think Nasruddin Imavov is one of the most elite fighters on the planet Earth. And I'm asking you, how did Kyle Borralho get into this main event? All he did was beat Jared Cannonier and no one else. He's done nothing. He hasn't beat anyone in the top 10 outside of Jared Cannonier. If you can beat Jared Cannonier and you start getting these fights, that's absurd. He hasn't even earned the right to be here. And he went in there, and it's just somebody who doesn't know how to redline himself. And what I mean by redline is he's in my Corvette, and he's going 60. He's going 30 and a 35. He doesn't know how to push himself and go get it. And I don't think he has the ability to go get it. Remember, this is a guy, Kyle Borralho, who was on Dana White Contender Series, won the fight, and Dana didn't give him a contract. He didn't impress Dana enough. He's like, oh, you don't impress me, bro. I'm good. And then he went home, rebranded himself, made himself the Fighting Nerds, and then he got a contract. No, then he got a fight. He got a fight short notice, excuse me. He was a fill-in. He didn't get the contract from Dana White Contender Series. He got another fight on Dana White Contender Series later that season, I believe. The point I'm trying to make is Kyle Borralho is not one of the elite fighters in the UFC. He's one of the elite marketers. He's one of these other guys, but he can't fight with these guys. Not the Nasruddin Imavov. No, Imavov is nice with it. Great stand-up, good defensive wrestling, throws mean combos. He's clean. Oh, by the way, we go 5 rounds. That man didn't look tired, not 1 second. They were the refs or the announcers kept talking about he looks tired. He looks tired. He didn't look tired at all. Loved everything I saw from him. So shout out to him. Shout out to you for being an MVP. Thank you for believing in me. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.